watching Rogers TV.
Welcome to Uxbridge Scugog Life. I'm your host, Jackie Hermans. So, the holidays are almost here. I don't know about you, but I'm waiting for some online purchases to arrive. Some of which was saying at first 5 to 7 days delivery, and now it's saying you can receive the packages anytime between now and January 8th. So, little bit of nail biting happening. I might be running out to the local store just to pick up something really quick. Anyways, this is going to be one of our best of shows. We're going to be doing a few shows like this because we've had such excellent segments here and we want to bring those back for your viewing pleasure. So we're going to have Dan Miwa on the show, a local author, talking about his latest book called Rhett. We're also having Lucy Black on the show, another local author, talking about her newest book, Brickworks. So it is going to be an absolutely fabulous show, and I'm sending you positive, getting stuff done vibes to make sure that you are going to be ready for your holidays. At the end of the show, make sure you keep watching because I'm going to pull some cards to help you with the energy of this week, because you will get it all done. You will. It always gets done in the end. So make sure you keep on watching. We'll be back with more on Uxbridge Scugog Life.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
After a night out with your friends, not having a plan for a safe ride home can leave you in a bad spot. You could end up riding in a police car, an ambulance, or a hearse. These unplanned modes of transportation can be a costly choice and do not take you home. Your plan could include a designated driver, a taxi, or public transit. Drink responsibly, choose your ride, and have a plan for a safe ride home.
Visit arrivealive.org to find out more.
Welcome back to Uxbridge Scugog Life. So with me on the show is Dan Miwa and Miwa. Why do I say
yes.
Miwa? Miwa.
Yeah.
And we are talking about his book that has just come out. You're on the bestsellers list. And this is your first book?
First one. Yeah, I know. It's been a crazy journey, right? It's been 10 years in the making, right? So
Yeah.
it's so funny, back 10 years ago when I started thinking about this, project, I had no idea that it was going to kind of rise to the ranks that it's at now. And we launched last week on Monday, and honestly, in our first week we hit the bestsellers list on Amazon. We got to the hot new releases on all of my sci-fi categories. So this journey has just been crazy.
That's incredible.
Yeah. It's something that's really been, on my mind for a long time. And as you know, too, as well, people that have careers and, have lives and families, it's hard to find time to really, follow your dreams, right?
So and dedicate. How long have you been writing this book for?
Well, 10 years, right? So
wow.
I started writing it when I was a kid. And it took me about 3 or 4 years to write it, right? But then to actually edit it down and put into a cohesive story, that took about 4 or 5 years.
Oh my
right?
goodness.
So I had my first draft, I had all my ideas down, but writing a book is a lot like a puzzle because this is a sci-fi novel, so I had to build the world, I had to build the characters, build the social structure, build all the storyline. And then, you have to kind of piece it together so it's one cohesive story.
Okay.
So it took a lot of brain power and it was exhausting. A lot of the times too as well, I remember, what am I doing? Is this gonna work? Is this gonna fly? You know, you get to those kind of stages when you're writing a story, at least in my own experience, where, you know, you feel really good one day, and then other days you feel just like almost destroyed, right?
Right.
But you keep at it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So when you were cooking up the whole scenery, the characters, how everything interconnected, were you using a journal to like draft out ideas? Were you did you have a big bulletin board on your wall, and you're like, okay, so if this person knows this one and this planet is like this, and like how did that whole thought process go?
I know. It's going back a couple of years now, right? But so in my career, I'm a project manager.
Okay.
And, you know, my career, I plan like you wouldn't believe, right? I've got the whiteboards. I've got all the notes, you know what I mean? I've got all the swim lanes and process charts and stuff. But in this case, maybe because it's a creative venture, a lot of the ideas just kind of came to me, right? So I remember when I was a kid, what started this whole idea was that I was sitting on my balcony in one of the condos I used to live in. I looked up in the sky and I said, wouldn't it be cool to write a story about another civilization living on another planet? And not like this like battle between humans and aliens and traditional sci-fi, but if there was another, you know, race or another civilization out there in the universe, you know, what kind of challenges would they go through? You know, like how are their societies structured? And also too as well, like if our lives are so messed up and all the challenges that we face too as well, who's to say that an alien race doesn't go through the same type of challenges?
Right, exactly.
So the really cool thing about this book is that it holds a mirror to a lot of the social issues and social biases and challenges that we face in life, but it's depicted on another planet. So I had a theme, right? So at that point, it's like, okay, I have an idea. I know what the ultimate theme is going to be, right? It's going to be sci-fi related, but I want it to be like a life piece. Okay. So when I was going through like creating this whole story, I first started off building like the planet, right? So I had to say, okay, well, I know that my story is going to take place on another planet, and what does the planet look like? So it took me a good, probably like 2 months just to kind of conceptualize, you know, what the planets look like, the chemical makeup. I watched BBC The Universe. There's a series that came out like back in the 90s, and it was a BBC series. And it talked about all the planets, and I watched that for like a week straight. And I took notes. Okay. So some of the setting too as well, there's a planet, there's a moon of Jupiter. I think it's Europa. I'm pretty sure. Anyways, there's geysers on this planet. And there's geysers on my planet. Okay. One of the moons of, I think it's Uranus, it's called Titan. It has nitrogen oceans, right? And so does mine.
Very cool.
So I took ideas from our own solar system, right? And just kind of concocted a planet.
This planet, yeah.
And then I had to define, you know, what do the beings look like? You know, like do they look like humanoids? Are they, you know?
Are they a certain color?
Right.
Yeah.
So I had to.
You're not even telling me. You're like, no, you have to read the book.
You've got to buy and read it, okay, Jackie?
Okay.
So
Okay.
No, and then I had to create too as well, like the social structure. Okay, well, if there is a civilization, how are their societies structured? And then I had to create a storyline, and a storyline that's like really impactful. So this storyline follows a main character, and he goes through a lot of issues, right? So in terms of he's persecuted and he's challenged with a lot of life struggles.
So we're going to get back. We're going to get back to that because I want to find out more about the life, about this character's struggles to really entice everybody.
For sure.
So we're going to be back after this break. So keep on watching. Much more to come on Uxbridge Scugog Life.
Wonder what stood right behind me 150 years ago? Here in Pickering, at the northwest side of Brock and Highway 7, stood the Brome Central Hotel. Today, this historic commercial enterprise is housed here at the Pickering Museum Village. Originally a home, this two-story building became a temperance hotel in 1850.
We prepared your usual private room.
Okay, thank you. I'm sure I'll sleep soundly tonight.
It was a resting place for travelers, and for 2 shillings and 6 pence, it also served as a meeting place for local council.
Ladies, the Township Council will be meeting very soon. We should retire.
Located at the epicenter of the township, the hotel was witness to a lot of the laws and infrastructure decisions that made Pickering what it is today.
Welcome back to Uxbridge Scugog Life. So I'm with Dan Miwa, who is a published author who's on the best sellers list on Amazon, and his book is also going to be featured at Blue Heron Books.
And so Pluto's been in my sign for 14 years. It's been a very, very difficult and challenging 14 years, I would say. And I only really realized this when I started to get into, I guess, astrology. This is like 5 years ago. Storyline, like the main character. One of the things I want to get across in this novel is that there's always a story behind the story. Right? So the story, it does follow Rhett, and he goes through many different challenges, right? His parents are ostracized from their society, his sister rebels against the government, and all the while, he's just trying to do his best to fulfill his dream. Kind of like what I went through over the past 10 years.
We go off of our own life inspiration, right? Our life experience.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, okay, so...
But the story behind the story here is that, what I wanted to do, I had something to say. And when I was writing this too as well, I spent a lot of time detailing out the world and everything else. But when it came to writing the story, it's almost like it was just coming out of me. Nice. Like I spent time writing it, right? But like the characters, when you start writing, and this is the first book that I've written too as well, and I don't know if any authors too as well have experienced this, but when you have something, it's almost like you're just channeling it, into this medium, right? So the characters took their own storyline. But what I really wanted to get across to the audience too as well is that, even though we're not set on Earth, we're not set on this planet, right? Everyone who is a living being must experience emotion, right? So it's an emotional tale of overcoming your fears, dealing with challenges, experiencing life, right? So the characters, what this character goes through, well, there is a time when he's left for dead. And there's also, too, as well, a lot of challenges, with his family dynamics and with how society perceives him. Because in this society, they're very racist. And that's the one thing that he has to deal with. Like, he has been ostracized because he comes from a different background, right? And a lot of people, in this world and, today's culture, we see a lot of that. And it's a struggle against, overcoming fears and to push forward beyond all odds. That's the main character story. The secondary character, Terry, she's not having it at all. She's like, there's something wrong with this society, and I'm going to destroy it, or I'm going to overthrow it, and things have to change. Right. So there's two different perspectives here. Where I think today, in our society, in our culture, we have to take a look that not only is Rhett fulfilling his truth, but Terry, the sister character, who's rebellious, she's fulfilling her truth as well.
Beautiful.
Right? So.
Did you have a healing process as you were going through the writing of this book?
And so Pluto's been in my sign for 14 years. It's been a very, very difficult and challenging 14 years, I would say. And I only really realized this when I started to get into, I guess, astrology. This is like 5 years ago.
You've gone through and what you've needed to overcome. So emotions would have come up. Even if it's just in the background within the subconscious, stuff was coming up as you were getting it out.
We've all gone through traumas. We've all gone through. We all have very difficult lives. I think it's hard pressed to say that any human being on this planet doesn't have a very difficult life. I think we put on this veneer of everything's okay, but in the background too as well, there's a lot of suffering, and suffering is just part of life, if you ask me, right? This was a way for me to get what I had and needed to say out on a page, and hopefully too as well that whoever's reading this can really reflect and really connect to it. And that's what I want, as an author. It's not necessarily just, read my works, but, I really want someone to deeply connect to it, because it's such a life piece, and it has so many great values and themes. And, I've got some really early feedback since our launch last week, and the ones that have read this book have been like, Dan, I've connected with this so closely. It's an excellent read. And there's so many things we can learn what's great too as well about having, this type of medium and having this set on another world is that, it's not depicted on Earth. So everyone can kind of relate to it because even though, you may not be part of a specific group in society, it doesn't matter because we're on a different planet. So you can connect to it in any different way.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Can I ask you about the cover? How did you, I love the cover, by the way. Before we started, I'm like, I love the colors. You chose, it's talking to me now, just looking at it. How did you come up with that cover? We have a minute left.
So I can't take all of the credit for it.
Okay.
So we had a terrific graphic design artist who read the book. This scene is actually taken from within the storyline. I'll just show it up there too as well. The colors were just the colors of the atmosphere. It was the landscape of the city, and he worked with this really cool design. He created the entire city, and it was a digital picture that we can take different vantage points from.
Oh, cool!
So we found one vantage point, and we snapped it. We said, "That is the cover." Yeah.
Okay, so how can people get your book? They can go into Amazon.
Amazon, yeah, you can search for Rhett.
Okay, they can also go to Blue Heron Books in Uxbridge.
Yes.
Anything else you want them to know?
We've got podcasts coming up, so we're starting this whole marketing push as well, right? Like this show too as well. So happy to be here as well. Yay. And we have a lot more coming up. So find me on Facebook.
How do they find you on Facebook?
Dan Miwa.
M-I-W-A. Oh, we're going to have that written down there. Okay. Thank you so much, Dan. It was wonderful to have you on the show.
Thank you.
And we'll be back with more on Uxbridge Scugog Life. Stick around.
It'd be a tragedy if we were losing one person to drug overdose every day. 5, 7, or 12 people? That would be unimaginable. But in Canada, we lose 20 people to overdose every single day. That's a crisis. Donate to help CAMH face addiction head on.
I'm wishing a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a joyous New Year to all my neighbors in Pickering, Uxbridge, and across Canada. No matter how you celebrate the holidays, I'm wishing you all the very best of the season, and I hope you enjoy gathering with your loved ones. For the new year ahead, I hope it brings good health and prosperity as we continue to build a strong and inclusive community. Happy Holidays and Merry Christmas.
Welcome back to Uxbridge Scugog Life. So I have another author. We have Lucy Black here, who has a book launch coming up, and her book is called Brickworks. Lucy, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
So is this your first book, your 10th book? What book is this?
This is book 4 for me.
Okay.
And it's my second historical fiction.
Okay.
And it takes place at the end of the 19th century. And it's about a brickworks.
Okay, now I think it's, for me, this is very interesting on where the inspiration came from. So you were in Caledon. Do you want to tell the story?
Absolutely. We went for a drive one afternoon to Caledon, and we were wandering around, basically, and I saw what I thought was an old woolen mill in the distance. And I said, gee, I think it's a woolen mill. Let's go see if I can get a good picture. And we hiked towards it. It's just off on the Niagara Escarpment. And I found a sign that said it was part of the Cheltenham Brickworks. And it was still owned by Brampton Brick, but it was now an abandoned site. And we picked up a piece of brick, and I noticed it was studded with little bits of straw. And we went home, and I had this great photograph, and I put the piece of brick on my desk. And that brick just spoke to me. I thought, I don't know anything about brick making, but I know it was really important in Ontario at the turn of the century. We live in Port Perry. And there were 2 huge fires, 1883 and 1884, that wiped out the downtown core. And I knew Uxbridge as well had had a massive fire in 1902. And then I was remembering there was a huge fire in Toronto as well. And I thought, well, bricks were really important to all of those rebuilding efforts, but where did the technology come from? How did people know how to make bricks?
Right.
And so I started doing a little bit of casual research, and I got more and more interested. I discovered all these little small communities all around us had brickworks, and they were making bricks locally for their building projects. And then, of course, there was the huge brickworks in Toronto, Don Valley Brickworks, now renamed Evergreen. So I was poking around on the internet, and I discovered there was a National Historic Site in Saskatchewan, Claybank, Saskatchewan, called the Claybank National Historic Brick Plant. And they had rolled back their operation to pre-World War I. And it was a living history museum.
Very cool.
So one weekend we flew out to Saskatchewan for 3 days so I could learn how to make bricks.
Oh my goodness. So you have been, you have put a lot of not only passion, time, energy, research before even starting the book.
Absolutely.
Right? And now, what would you say is the genre of your book?
It's
historical.
It's historical fiction, but really it's about progressivist ideology.
How would you explain that?
Well, progressivism is the idea that anything is possible. And so you would be familiar with the Great Exhibition in London that Queen Victoria's husband, Prince Albert, mounted in the Crystal Palace. And it was filled with science and technology, and there was just this sense that anything was possible. Okay. And so my two main characters actually end up at the Pan exhibition in Buffalo, Pan American exhibition in Buffalo, which is a replica of Prince Albert's exhibition. And like Prince Albert, they're sort of blown away by all of the science and technology, and they love it. And so both of them stay in Buffalo, and they begin to work in a steel mill where they're fabricating bridges for the railway. And they meet and embark on this adventure together.
Very cool.
But there's just this sense that anything is possible. And so these two men who are both Scottish immigrants end up, at the Pan American exhibition, and then they end up salmon fishing, essentially in the Forks of the Credit, although I call it Braymore. And they buy land, and they start this brickworks and completely transform this small community.
Beautiful. So I'd like to know where people can purchase your book. Now, first of all, you have a book launch happening, which is so exciting.
Thank you, yes.
Oh, okay, so at Blue Heron Bookstore, what is the date of that book launch?
October 14th from 3 to 5.
Okay.
And it's part of the Book Drunkard Festival, which Shelley Macbeth organizes, which is just an amazing literary festival. She brings in authors from all over the country.
Oh, amazing.
I know. We are so fortunate to have that facility in our community.
Well, and congratulations for the launch of your book. Congratulations on the support that you're receiving from the community, from Shelley. And make sure you check out her book. It's called The Brickworks. So we'll be back with more on Uxbridge Scugog Life.
I still remember the games. The laughter, the footsteps through the hallway. I'll never forget the challenges.
Every day I come back from work, it's always like this. We're yelling in front of the kids.
I'll never forget the help we needed. How far we've come.
Santa Claus. It's that time of year again. Talk to Santa on Rogers TV. Give us a call from 6 to 7. Bye.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy, Karim Grant. I'm the host of The Players Corner. Season 2 is coming right at you. Make sure you stay tuned. We have a lot of exciting guests right here on Rogers Durham TV. Make sure you're there.
Welcome back to Uxbridge Scugog Life. So as promised, I'm pulling cards to assist us with the energy for this week. I always start shuffling the deck before we start, and one card immediately popped out, but I feel like I'll probably be pulling a second card as well to go along with it. So the first card that I pulled is Beloved. And there is, so if you couldn't see that clearly, there's two beautiful unicorns on there. And there's also butterflies. Butterflies represent transformation. And the message I'm also getting from this is new beginnings. The message on the card is prepare for your life partner, romance, or romance is returning to your relationship, or believe you are lovable. So in this week's energy, there's a beautiful healing of the heart that's happening. And because of this healing of the heart, if you're not currently within a relationship, that partner is now being drawn towards you. So trust that you are worthy of a beautiful partner. Now, if you are currently within a relationship, your relationship is going into new depths of healing and connection at this time. And maybe it's going to be a date night. That would be wonderful. Or date night, date day. Do something to connect and to increase the intimacy within your relationship. So in regards to heart healing, you know, that worthiness, that inner worthiness of being loved, being respected, having someone wanting to put time and energy into you, being in gratitude for you being in their life. You are so worthy of that, and you need to truly believe that. And it really starts with treating yourself with the love that you deserve. As you treat yourself and you believe in that self-worth, that's when all this beauty can also attract into your life. There's going to be another quick message to go along with this. Sanctuary. Take time from the world, spend more time alone, meditate, or go on a retreat. So I'm just going to pull so you can get that energy, putting that into the into the camera. So there is moon, there's that feminine energy, which is that slowing down, that gentleness, that being open to receive. In order for you to move forward in your life, it's also important for you to take that time to receive the messages, to gain the inspiration, to do something nice, to have that self-care for yourself, so then your energy is ready to attract in. So if that new life partner is going to come in, or that new level of intimacy within your relationship, you need to have that slowing down and that quiet time to actually receive that inspiration to know how to move forward. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back with more next week on Uxbridge Scugog Life. Namaste, everybody.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
You know the story, when the RCAF said Mach 2 fighter, 2-place 1,000-mile range, the British said it was impossible. The Yanks tried twice and failed. They said, you're dreaming. We said, fine, we'll build it right here in Toronto. And now you guys, my guys, are saying that it can't be done, that they were right?
Now that's the rocket that we used to get the model up to speed, and then the onboard sensors tell us that...
Come on, baby.
Damn it! But we did it according to your specs. The specs have changed.